today on another episode of Comparisons. We're going to be comparing renting a home and owning a home. So let's get it. So we're going to compare renting a home and owning a home in terms of a number of categories. The first is the flexibility to move. And if you're renting a home, you have the flexibility to move whenever without penalty after the lease ends. Now, if you move within the lease period, you may be penalized. You may be required to pay a fee. But outside that, you can move whenever you want outside of the lease period. If you are owning a home, it might not be that easy to move. So for many persons, you have to sell that home to get funds to be able to purchase another home to where you're moving. Another category is whether you're going to be building equity or not. If you're renting, you're not going to be building equity. You're paying a monthly fee towards someone else's ownership of the property.
How dare you!
At the end of the lease period, you have not owned anything. On the other hand, if you are owning a home, the mortgage that you are servicing is towards the ownership of that home by you. At the end of the mortgage period, you would own the home. Another thing is, who is responsible for the repairs? If you are renting a home, the landlord is responsible for all repairs and maintenance of the property. If you are owning the home, you are responsible as the homeowner for all maintenance costs or repair work. You are responsible. Another thing is, if you are owning a home, it requires a large amount of financial leverage to be able to own a home. You're going to have to build up your financial credit rating with the financial institution. You're going to have a down payment. You're going to have a stable job or stable source of income. You're going to have to be able to pay a mortgage for a certain amount of years until it's paid up. You're going to have life insurance in case something happens to you. The property is paid up for using life insurance and it can be turned over to a beneficiary. But if you are renting, you do not have any of those responsibilities. The last thing I want to look at is what happens if market factors set in. It's possible for that property to appreciate in value and depreciate in value.
What that mean?
So it's possible that you could purchase a home at a particular price and then it depreciates, and then if you sell that home, you're going to make a loss. But it's also possible that it appreciates, and then when you sell that home, you're going to make a profit. So owners of homes, they are affected in that respect. However, if you're renting, it does not affect you. It affects your landlord. So we just compared renting a home and owning a home in terms of a number of categories. And we can conclude that the decision of whether you should rent or own all depends on you. And it depends on a number of factors. Let me give you an example just to make sure you're in the right path of thinking. If your occupation requires you to move from state to state or country to country at say 2 or 3 months at a time, but never return to the previous state that you were in or the previous country, then it may be a good idea to rent. It allows you to move from state to state or country to country without obligation. You could just set 2 or 3 month limits, terms on how long you're going to stay. And after that, you move to the next country and you continue your occupation. And you never have to return to that country or state. But if you were to have that same occupation and you were to purchase a property, you were to own a home in that state, and you were required to leave in 3 months, you have to understand you would not have use of that property anymore unless you return to that state or country. And if you're not returning to that state or country, then it would have been a bad investment unless you actually rent it out to someone, but you're never returning. So in that scenario, renting might be the best option. But if you actually living in that country or state indefinitely and you want to have some level of equity, you want to make sure that after paying a certain amount of money that you actually have some sort of asset as a result, then it might be a good idea to own that home. let's talk about a third option. If you want to avoid maintenance fees or any other, or taxes, or any sort of additional fees associated with that property, property taxes, maintenance fees, bills, and so on, certain bills, then you probably should rent. So it all requires you to look at those two options that we looked at today, and the categories, and determine which is best for you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and also click the bell to be notified of any new content that I'm going to drop. I'll see you all.